Hello BookTube, I'm Peg and welcome to my channel. Before I forget, I have to show you my literary necklace today. This is actually made of paper cut up and strengthened with some sort of gold spray. So I assume this was a book that someone cut up. I hope it was not a good one. Okay, today I'm going to start what I'm going to be doing all next month, talking about the Republic of Consciousness Prize. I have just about all the books for it, ready to read and talk about. I hope some of you all are going to be reading them. I'll say again, I've talked about it a little before, but the Republic of Consciousness Prize was founded last year, 2016, by Neil Griffiths, who's a booktuber here, and in it, they are looking for hardcore literary fiction that has gorgeous prose. And it has been so fun to find what they've put on the long list this year. A couple of them I'd heard of, but many I had not heard of, and I'm really going to enjoy reading them. They're the kind I need to read slow, so it'll take me the 6 weeks till they announce the short list probably to go through all these. Anyway, but I've linked down below the article on the Republic, I'll just call it that, prize, and the books that are on it. And I've also linked, secondly, a video by Neil Griffiths, the founder, where he talks about the book I'm going to be talking about today, ATTRIB. He calls it one of his favorite of the year. But the most important link of all down below is the one to Curtis Books and Films. Curtis is a young man. I believe he's just an undergraduate in college. He is tremendous at analyzing literature. His channel is just fantastic. And yesterday, he gave a brilliant talk on this book, ATTRIB. It's a book of short stories, as his favorite book of the year. And he had just gotten it recently after he read Neil Griffiths, or after he saw Neil Griffiths' video. So a big shout out to Curtis. Now, I want to convince Curtis, I hope he's going into some sort of professorship or something where he can share his love of literature, because he has a fantastic way of describing it and putting it together. And he went through 4 or 5 of the stories in here with a analysis of, and I'd already read them, but it really helped me to think about them more after hearing his talk. So way to go, Curtis. Okay, I'm just going to talk about one story in here to kind of show the kind of short stories I like that take many readings to really understand. And also in this case, I had to look up a lot of references. Now, this is only a 9-page story, but I have all kinds of pictures, images to show, and I just thought I'd run through a few pages of it to show some of the things that this brilliant author was able to fit into this. Now, the story I'm going to be talking about, it's quite a long title. It's called Smote. That's the main title, and then the subtitle is, Or When I Find I Cannot Kiss You in Front of a Print by Bridget Riley. And it is, in fact, a story of the narrator, who remains genderless, so I'm going to refer to her as she because the author is she. We don't have a neutral pronoun to use. So anyway, she is coming in to an art museum through the revolving doors to meet her lover, and ends up finding the lover in front of this picture, which I'll be talking about, and why she cannot kiss the lover in front of this picture. But it's all in this narrator's mind, and it's just amazing the things that open up. First of all, she refers to the fact that it shouldn't bother her to kiss her lover because she sees other people holding hands and kissing, and even refers to a kiss-in that happened on Valentine's Day. I think that must be a London thing. She then talks about, refers to LaRousse's dictionary, which has changed recently the definition, or is thinking about changing the definition of marriage. Now, that to me is a clue that this is a same-sex relationship. And further on, she talks about seeing a boy and girl kissing. She makes a point about that, and that and nobody thinks a thing of it. So, you know, why should she think that the attendant is looking at her and her lover's haircuts, which kind of, again, is a clue that their haircuts are indicative of their sex or whatever. So anyway, but then she goes from there onto LaRousse's dictionary, back to LaRousse's dictionary, which has a colophon, or a publisher's imprint or symbol of a dandelion clock. Now, I wasn't sure what a dandelion clock was, but she talks quite a bit about blowing on a dandelion clock and how that looks like a person kissing. Now, here's a dandelion clock, or picture of it. It's not a real clock. But I also read that dandelion clock is one English term that most Americans know nothing about. It's definitely in England, or that has quite a history, a dandelion clock. What it is a dandelion puff after it starts to lose its freshness and the flowers start falling off of it, and there's some kind of tradition that you can tell what time it is by how many puffs you have to make to get all the flowers off of it. It's some sort of game or something. I also, while I was looking it up, there's stories about dandelion clocks in the clock game. So it's quite a thing, evidently, there that I think most Americans have never heard of. So I thought that was interesting. Okay, now we're going to get to the picture, or this print, that she can't kiss her lover in front of. Now, before I go on, I'm going to talk to you about a term that came up later called Stendhal's syndrome. She says she's Stendhal's syndroming. Now, that is a psychosomatic condition. It's actually evidently a real thing that causes dizziness and hallucinations when people look at really important artworks that have great significance to them. And supposedly it happens fairly often in great art museums. So she blames all this, I think, on her Stendhal's syndroming. Anyway, so she goes through this. I'm just going to go through a few of them, but she goes through a whole bunch of references to different works of art that somehow all come together. Okay, first of all, the main picture, that one by Bridget Riley, this print that she says she can't kiss her lover in front of, is this one. So you can see it could cause some dizziness. But she takes this as a theme and talks about many other pictures and images that have this checkerboard effect that don't have the same effect on her. So I learned a lot about different works of art. She talks about, this next one is called something about self-images with fried eggs. It's by a woman named Lucas, and it's a portrait. Those are fried eggs. I apologize that I haven't learned to edit to put these pictures up on the video. My New Year's resolution is to learn to edit if I can take enough time from reading. Okay, so that one has some checkerboard, but she says that one didn't bother. And then she goes into even a more traditional one, this one by Vermeer. She said that wouldn't bother her at all, the checkerboard on that at the bottom, to kiss in front of that. So I can't amazed at all the checkerboard images she found. She also talks about Battenberg cakes, which I didn't know about. They have checkerboards. And Walt Jabsko's images, evidently is a graphic artist of some sort. And we have these different images that have all checkerboards in them. She talks about people wearing black and white gingham and quilts that are black and white, and all kinds of black and white things. She just has her mind stuck there. And then she actually even talks about the Hammershøi series of paintings that are all of window panes in a dark room and some of those. So I learned a lot about different checkerboard things. And I mean, that's just part of them. This is just like four pages of the 9. But it's just amazing how she puts this together into a view of her time in the art museum. And as Curtis really summed it up well, he said, it just makes you think of things differently. I mean, I'll never go in an art museum again without probably thinking of this, or at least seeing a black and white painting and wondering if I'm going to be having, what was it, syndrome, Stendhal, anyway, the syndrome that makes you dizzy when you look at an important painting. So anyway, I hope you all be reading along with me as I read this list. And thanks again, Curtis, for your excellent review on this. Okay, I'll be back with more later. Bye.